Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're not in the best crypto community on this planet, get in it now. It is free. You got no excuse. We talk about ZBCN in our Discord quite a lot, so join in right now. Zebec's relationship with Circle and how USDC is a game-changing deal. If you're new here as well, go check out my latest video. I talk about the top 5 reasons why ZBCN can be explosive this year. Go check it out. It's a really good video. Anyway, let's get on to it. The reason why I say go check that video out, because I talk about how ZBCN is part of the stablecoin narrative, which is unexpectedly growing. Stablecoins is worth about 300 billion market cap, and it's been growing very rapidly due to US institutions trying to regulate crypto. I'm going to kick it off with the first clip by Simon, the CEO, explaining how things like the Genius Act and the stablecoin market is growing very rapidly, especially in the US. ZBCN, Zebec being a US-based company, will relate to this law. All right, take a look.
It's a huge boost to any company that is operating with stablecoins like Zebec, of course, as we've built our payroll system on the USDC currency. Stablecoins are a 200 billion plus segment of the crypto industry, and they're growing incredibly fast. And that really shows the demand from the market for increased usage for stablecoins, as they are faster, quicker, cheaper than fiat alternatives. And it gives us, as a crypto operator, some sort of regulatory clarity that banks can now operate in the world of stablecoins and digital assets, and it's really helping build trust in the stablecoin ecosystem as well. So for Zebec, as a company that I mentioned, has built a lot of our infrastructure on the Circle infrastructure network as well as USDC. It's a great step forward.
I also have explained on this channel that Zebec are in close ties with Circle. Circle being an early backer since 2021, they hold a significant amount of ZBCN, and how Zebec are part of the Circle Alliance program. They have very close ties with Circle and USDC because their whole ecosystem evolves around USDC. Without them, they would struggle. They would make their lives a lot more harder. Take a look at this clip, how Simon again explains that Circle and Zebec are in a close relationship together and they are partnered with each other. So take a look.
Well, you need to remember that Zebec is the original provider of stablecoin payroll. So all of this great regulatory progress on stablecoins in the US is extremely bullish for us and what we're building. Circle is an early investor in Zebec and a longtime partner, as I mentioned in our last spaces. USDC is core to all of our products. It's core to our ecosystem. It's core to our payroll. And we're not going to be giving up on USDC. It is always going to be there. That being said, there are other stable coins that are coming into the market now, which we are evaluating, potentially working with. In fact, the RLUSD, so the Ripple stablecoin, we've actually integrated it on our Silver card. And of course, we've been in talks with Ripple for the past few months on a product launch, which we're working on with them as well. And more will be revealed on that when we are ready.
The reason why this benefits Zebec, because Zebec's main focus is about stablecoin payroll. To be able to pay workers in real time by the second their paycheck, instead of waiting every 1 week, 2 weeks, every month, they get paid in stablecoins by the second, because it's a lot more faster, a lot more cheaper, a lot more efficient. And if you think about it, right, USDC is basically like a digital dollar. You don't realize how advanced the blockchain technology is. So most of you are in the US watching this video. I'm from the UK. If I sent you $1,000 in USDC just from wallet to wallet, I don't need a bank to do that. I can send you $1,000 stablecoin like that in an instant with basically no fees in like 3 to 5 seconds. Very quick. But if I sent you $1,000 or £1,000 into dollars and sent it across to the US through my bank, well, guess what? That's going to take 3 to 5 business days, maybe even slower than that. And it will take a fee, but I can send you a message, like messaging. I can send you a message in a second, but I can't do that with money. But the blockchain technology, I can send it you in a second. So that's the thing about USDC that people just don't realize, that it's basically like a digital dollar. It behaves like a dollar. It's pegged to the dollar. It has US backed treasuries. So, you know, stable coins is going to be a big focus, and institutions and banks know that this technology is actually game changing technology, that the current financial financial messaging system, SWIFT, sending money cross-border payments, takes 3 to 5 days. All the banks have their own digital language. That's why they're moving on to the ISO 222 standard. Most banks and institutions have agreed on it, rolling out in November 2025. And Zebec are going to be ISO 222 compliant by the end of the year, which is very, very bullish. Simon has also said that if Circle wins, so does Zebec. The Genius Act relates to USDC because USDC is the most regulated stablecoin and it is US based. So the Genius Act kind of enables the green light for institutions and banks to make their own stablecoin, but it has to be backed by US treasuries. It has to be legit. You can't have things like Terra Luna being pegged to nothing. And Zebec being a US based company is bullish. US based cryptos are going to be the leaders of this bull run, especially the ones that relate to stablecoins. And Zebec being the first mover advantage of stablecoin payroll, you know, they can integrate all the stablecoins into their Zebec cards. More people using their cards equals more revenue volume. That will equal to more token buybacks and the price of ZBCN will explode. Just from that alone, they are making a super app to get more retail users in. It's going to be like Revolut light steroids. It's going to change the game on how crypto operates. So just recently, Trump signed the executive order of the Genius Act, which means that stablecoins in the US have to be backed by US treasuries and they get monthly audits. It signals the green light for institutions and banks to step in and regulate and make their own stablecoins. There's been words about Bank of America, JP Morgan issue their own stablecoin. But here's a clip from the CEO of Circle explaining about USDC and how the Genius Act affects them. Take a look.
But I'm pleased that you talk about the regulatory aspect of it because, you know, obviously in the original days of the blockchain, and it was all about let's get as far away as possible from regulation and because we don't want anybody looking. But stable coins are different. Stable coins by name and definition have to be stable. They have to be backed. They have to have, if you will, a rationale and raison d'etre, which means they've got to have a link. Now, if the underlying currency becomes dodgy or becomes devalued, if the dollar is weakened, does that weaken the stable coins relying on it?
No, in fact, stable coins as a form of electronic money are actually safer than many forms of electronic money that we use today. They're fully reserved and they're backed by things like short-term treasury bills. And that creates a very, very safe foundation that people can depend on and use. It creates demand around the world for people who want to hold a safe store of value and an incredibly efficient medium of exchange. We're giving the superpowers of the internet to dollars through this technology. And so I think part of the goal of I think this legislation is actually expanding the competitiveness of the dollar in the age of the internet. And I think that's a major component of how the dollar continues to compete and thrive as we move into a more deeply digital environment.
Say it with me. If Circle wins, so does Zebec. Circle are now applying for their US national bank license. They've been in Wall Street. Their Circle stock is booming. Like I said, Circle's been an early backer of ZBCN since 2021, along with Coinbase Ventures, Solana Ventures, Breyer Capital, Lightspeed Ventures, investing over 35 million USD into ZBCN. I'm going to play a last clip and really listen to this of Circle, the CEO, explaining about how there's going to be trillions, how stablecoins are going to be worth a $1 trillion market, and it's going to play a real use case into the real world. And a lot of banks and institutions are looking to step in.
Really, they can play major institutions, really making it clear that this is going to be a key part of the way money moves in the world. And as the leading regulated stablecoin network in the world, we're I think in a really, we're in a great place to build on that. This is a moment where it's been a long time since you've actually had an upgrade to the financial system, to the very nature of what electronic money is, and digital currency really represents that. And we're, as I like to say, still in the very early days of this. And so we think about, just like Treasury Secretary Bessent talks about trillions of dollars of stablecoins in the coming years, major investment banks and others looking at trillions of dollars of stablecoins. We can imagine a world where stablecoin money is the primary way that transactions happen on the internet, and that's what we're going after. Large players in payments and capital markets are starting to implement stablecoins as a way to move money, settle transactions, support commerce, and other things. And so it's finding utility in a lot of different areas.
You know, that was some very good detail of those clips that I put in, and it makes sense that, you know, governments and institutions are looking into stablecoins. They're not looking in, they are looking into crypto. Stablecoins actually has a real use case. You know, people want to buy things that's stable and back. Trust and confidence is a big thing, and compliance is a big thing for Zebec. That's why they're going through their roadmap of compliance. You know, the next one's being MICA, and guess who else is MICA compliant? Circle. You know, just look at what Circle's doing. Look at the relationship of ZBCN and Zebec as well. If Circle wins, so does Zebec. I am just going to leave it here, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're not in my free Discord community, join. It's free, and I'll see you guys in the next one.